Hello again. It is I. Recent member to New Society, ex-con, ex-lifer, and in many ways, some might even say social outcast. Hello. This morning I'm going to speak on the word lifer. L-I-F-E-R. Before I get into that, please understand I am fucking high. And I'm constantly trying to figure out how to get higher. I'll get back to that in a moment. As you can see behind me, that is a small island off the Crescent City Peninsula. The reason we call this Crescent City is we have several inlets that could almost qualify for a crescent moon or a bay, sort of. They're not that deep, always for boats. And there's a lot of big rocks out there. I digress. So, lifers. I had the nickname once of being the youngest lifer. I was 18, well, technically 19, when they actually gave me the life sentence. That day in the courtroom, they had a bailiff on one side of me and my attorney on the other. Because when the judge said life sentence, my knees buckled. Even though I knew it was coming. So, 18-year-old kid, 3,000 miles from home and family. And they just told him that he gets to spend the rest of his fucking life in prison. All I did was defend myself from a homosexual who was trying to rape me. One thing that society did not understand in 1979 was that all homosexuals are like Tiny Tim. Don't get me wrong. I actually have 3 friends who are gayer than the most gayest individual you could ever find in San Francisco. One of them I saw just last week. The other 2 were, last I heard, were still in prison. I do not have a phobia, despite what conclusions one might draw. There was actually a 4th homosexual who decided, oh no, wait, let me count the fucking homosexuals. Tanya, Tony, Nikki, Chrissy. Fuck that, there's too many to count. Just know that I've, even, we'll go into that part of the social dynamic of our society at some future reference point. Somebody might want to remind me. Anyway, this morning I wanted to talk about the word life and lifer and life sentence. When I hit the first yard in 1980, 81-ish, a processing counselor told me figure it out or die. Okay. In my mind, at that moment, I was thinking, I just beat a motherfucker to death so that I could live. You think I'm not going to figure out how to survive a life sentence in prison? All they did was wake me up. The next 38 years of fire are what produced this today. And if I let him off the leash, the level of havoc that he could create, even I'm afraid of. We'll get into the personality type split that I had to go to in order to stay sane and manage the darker parts of myself. Back to the subject at hand. So, 18-year-old kid, life sentence. One of the first lifers I met after I hit the yards was a guy named Pat Schooley. My age, 19, 20. Had 3 life sentences. That was my first friend. I don't care what the fuck he did to get those 3 life sentences. That doesn't matter there. I know he wasn't a sex offender. That is all that matters on that yard. Any yard. So Pat was my first friend. First, I guess you'd call it real friend in prison. Although about a year after I met him and we were running around the yard being stupid, a couple of 19-year-old kids who did not give a flying fuck about anything except maybe how to get a buzz. But there was a homosexual in the yard who was a manipulator and tried to play the obligation game with youngsters who just came off the bus. 2 points. Point A. That yard, Southampton, in Southern Virginia, was a yard that was designed to house offenders from the age of 16 to 23. 3 cell blocks, 2 honor buildings. If you're really curious about that, look it up. I'm sure there's a sky view of what that fucking yard looks like. It hasn't changed in 40 fucking years. We will get back to Virginia. So figure it out and die. Oh yeah, that's where it was. Pat Schooley, I can't remember that. Rick something, I think. I don't remember. He was a predator. He used manipulation to predatize on youngsters who just got off the bus. We played a joke on him one time. Somebody took a piece of styrofoam about, call it 3 inches square, maybe 4. And they carved it to look like a big giant dick. And they brought it to me. I asked him, what the fuck you want me to do with this? He said, make it look like a real one. You see, I do sling a paintbrush. Excuse me. And even then, I had a reputation for what I could do with that paintbrush. In the very near future, I'm going to try to figure out how to upload to my channel, fuck everybody else, pictures of my paintings, all of which I still have. Like I said the other day, I'm still trying to figure this shit out. So, hey, hang around. It's going to get weird. So, Pat Schooley and Rick something, I forgot his fucking last gay name. And the dildo. So yeah, I painted it up. I made it look like a fucking 11-inch, 3-inch diameter, big, fat, white cock. Complete with blue blood veins and ripples. Circumcised, of course. I was very proud of that fucking piece of artwork, all things considered. Anyway, so about 6 of us contrived a way to give it to our favorite homosexual on the yard, and called him out of the building in front of probably about 250 inmates. The yard was open at that moment. We planned it well. Oh, look, I have company. That's different. Anyway, so we're all standing around the front of the building. He comes out, and Pat Schooley hands it to him, all wrapped up nice and pretty in paper and birthday present bullshit type thing. That fool opened it up right there on the yard in front of all those people. My sister trims. I smoke for free. Oh, that fool, the look on that idiot's face. He throws it down, screams a bunch of cuss words, and runs back in the building. I don't remember exactly what was said, but Schooley apparently took offense at some part of it, considering that all anybody was really doing was just trying to play a fucking stupid joke. But Philly Schooley went in behind him, followed him all the way back to the cell, and closed the door behind him. Now, according to eyewitness reports who looked through the cell door, as well as those of us that were outside looking through the window when his head went through it twice, Schooley beat on him until he was tired. He slammed his head through the window in his cell, which was glass, except there was 5x7 T angle iron bars behind it. His head didn't fit, which is ironic because sometime in the near future I will tell the story of how I tried to put somebody's head through a 5x7 window hole of T square angle iron. I found out it don't work. So did Schooley, though I think he tried a couple times, if my memory serves. Anyway, so yeah, Schooley beat on this kid, man. I saw him 3 days later, and his whole face was black and blue. I don't know how the hell he could even see to go anywhere. What was amazing was he stayed on the yard for a minute. Oh, damn, this joint went out. I'm going to have to find another. Good thing I came prepared this morning. So, anyway. So, yeah, that was my first lifer friend. Sometime later, after I put 29 stitches in the dude's head and tried the 5x7 angle iron thing, they transferred me to somewhere else. Although I had to do about 8 months in isolation before I finally got that transfer. That was a lot of fun. Hey, I didn't have nothing else to do. I fucked with the cops. Or anybody that was within earshot of my cell door. So anyway, back to the, whatever the fuck I'm talking, oh, lifers, yeah. Sorry.